Second thing, Google Analytics. We see that it's collecting Google Analytics data, but I can't see what that data is because I'm not Brittany Dawn's webmaster. Problems I'm glad I don't have. Let's see here. Hey everyone, and welcome to Nicole Reacts, where I, Nicole, react to marketing gurus that I find on the internet. My qualifications for snark and commentary are that I've owned an actual marketing company for almost 15 years. In that time, having worked on hundreds of websites and marketing campaigns, so I have a fair bit of knowledge about website development, particularly in WordPress, as well as search engine optimization, social media marketing, and all those related things to the online marketing sphere. So today's person is Brittany Dawn. Now, I've long been fascinated by the whole Brittany Dawn thing. I'm going to link to some excellent coverage of her in the show notes if you want to go down the rabbit hole. But just so that you can watch this video with a bit of a lens, Brittany Dawn was a fitness influencer for years. And she sold on her website these customized fitness plans that people paid money for. And essentially, what they found out is that she was just giving everyone like the same plan or plan, maybe a couple of plans, and not actually customizing them. Some people signed up for her accountability check-ins and they would just get these super generic text messages. Point being is she didn't deliver on the goods that she promised. And what did she do? Well, she tried to make some apology videos, as disgraced influencers are wont to do. And then she pivoted hard to Jesus. So now, because Jesus forgives her, we're all supposed to kind of just be okay with what she did to people previously. So the state of Texas has brought a lawsuit on Brittany Dawn, basically for fraud. And her legal team and her have had about 5 months to basically come up with a customer list, probably among some other things. So in that Zoom trial, which I will link below, essentially Brittany Dawn's legal team says that she couldn't get the list together because she couldn't access her PayPal account. What I want to do in this video is completely debunk that, because I think even as somebody who doesn't do internet stuff, you're probably thinking, well, she has records, right, of her customers besides what's in PayPal. That money from PayPal went somewhere, probably into a bank account. Her bookkeeper, or for taxes, she's had to keep records better than just here's a list of money I got from PayPal. So what I want to do is debunk this whole thing with some actual website knowledge. Now, I posted to the Reddit Brittany Dawn Snark group because I wanted to make sure I had every link that this plan was sold on. Because sometimes, you have the main website where something is sold, and then maybe you cross-list it somewhere else. But pretty much everyone seemed to agree that bedawnfit.com is where the plan was sold. Now, for a period of time, the website was offline because I think what happened was Brittany Dawn saw she was getting sued and took the website offline. But because now it's actually happening, it's back online very magically. So we're going to look at the site and I'm going to show you some stuff basically about what kind of records or what kind of information we get as people who own web stores. And yeah, let's get started. So this is Brittany Dawn's website, bedawnfit.com, which was offline for a while and magically came back online when she is being subpoenaed. Now, there's some display issues on this website. And this is the live website. This is not the Internet Archive, which we're going to look at in a second. But there's some display issues here. First of all, there's a logo that's going to appear in this video in the left side right now that's cut off. And there's some social media little icons that seem to be broken. I think she probably doesn't want to fix anything on this website because it just doesn't want to look like she's covering anything up. But this video of her is really interesting because now that she's a Christian, she's very into like modesty. That's like her brand of Christianity. And so this video of her in a tiny shorts zoomed in on her butt and a tank top or a bra top right here is really not something that current Brittany would be wearing, or I don't know. Anyway, now this website runs on WordPress, and you might ask yourself, well, how do you know that? Well, I sort of recognize I think, the theme that they're using. But other than that, what we can do is view page source or inspect element, and I'm just control F, and so there's WordPress right there. So WordPress is an open source content management system that runs something around 30 to 40% of the world's websites. So it's a super common thing to do. Now, if for some reason you weren't comfortable going back here, there is a website called whatcms.org. And if you type in a website, it will tell you things like what software is running, what kind of server it's on, and that sort of thing. And it's picking up some links on the site. So, anyway, it's detecting all these things about this website. So, I've been working on WordPress since 2008. Um, Probably more in the developer capacity and less of a content updating capacity since 2010. So I'm pretty comfortable in this. And WooCommerce, which is listed here on this, is a free WordPress plugin that lets you have a store on your site. And it just so happens I have a website with WooCommerce running on it right now. Let's go take a look. So this is my WooCommerce website. Well, technically it's a WordPress website with WooCommerce on it. And when you get orders that are put into the website system as well, I'm going to blur these people's names when I upload this. Um, but in addition to all the orders physically being within WordPress, AKA not just on PayPal, there is also this report section where we can export the given data for any period. So I can say, make a custom report of all the data between, like, starting from what day to what day, as long as it exists, right? October data doesn't exist yet because I'm recording this October 1st, but I can go back all the way to like 2017 and export all the data from then until today and hit export, and I will get a whole CSV file of all the orders that have come in, what they've ordered, what they paid, etc. Okay. So her saying she needs to get into PayPal to get this information. If she can log into her website, which she clearly can, if she was able to turn it back on when she was under investigation, then her, well, I can't get into PayPal, I don't know anything, is completely false. So, based purely on the software that runs her website, we know that Brittany Dawn is not telling the truth here. We know that the website, which runs WordPress and has a WooCommerce store attached to it, which is a WordPress plugin, we know that it's storing the data for people in terms of, their name and their email. At least if they're buying on PayPal, maybe she didn't require a payment address because she was delivering the product electronically, but she would at the very least have their name and email address. She would have what they bought, what they paid, and a date associated, and probably a unique order number at the very least in terms of her data export. Now, the other thing we want to establish is her payment processing. So in the lawsuit, she mentions PayPal, but most of us, when we have an online store, accept not just PayPal, but other forms of payment as well, like, do credit card processing, or maybe we take Amazon Pay or something like that. So what I want to do is go on our website, act like I'm making a purchase, and see what my payment options are. So wish me luck. So what I'm going to do is just pick the spring challenge, view cart. Oh, I can't buy anything. Right. She has this turned off. Okay, got it. So we're going to assume that Brittany Dawn is a businesswoman and that she wants to make money however she can make it. And by offering only PayPal, that would limit the amount of customers she had. So she'd want to have at least one other type of way that people could pay for these products. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into a popular payment processor that I use for on my website. It's called Stripe.com. Now, any online processor, whether it's Stripe, Authorize.net, there's tons of them. Maybe I'll put some on the screen right now. There's tons of online payment processors, but what they do is they act as an intermediary between the person buying the product and the e-commerce site. So I never see the complete credit card number of the person when they make a payment. Also, I don't have to check and make sure that the credit card works or whatever. So the online processor does that for us and takes a percentage of each sale. as part of their fee for doing business. So let's take a look at Stripe.com and see what information it's collecting. So this is my Stripe dashboard. I went right to the payments side and you see all the payments that are coming in. I'm blurring the customer emails for obvious reasons, but you can see that I have an amount and I have the fact that it was processed. Now, Brittany Dawn can't get into PayPal. First of all, I think that's ridiculous. There's ways that if you are being subpoenaed by a court, that I'm sure that PayPal support would move your support ticket a little higher up the list maybe than it is now. But let's just click on one of these invoices so that you see what they look like. So here is one of my customers, just as an example as what data I can see as the website owner. Now I've blurred her email address, but as you see here, the payment method I have on file, not only is it not clickable, but I can only see the last 4 digits. This is just so that if maybe she would call in and say, hey, what card is my payment on? I could at least reference something and she would be able to identify it on her end. So I never see the card at all. So even if I have to issue a refund, I literally just put the refund, select the reason, hit refund, and it goes back onto her card. I never see the card no matter what. So if you look down, you see that there's a descriptor, which is the co-working space name. You have the amount that she's charged, the fee that Stripe has taken. And so the net amount, the $18.15 will be swept into my bank account 24 hours after the payment is cleared. So, and as you see, succeeded in green right next to the amount, which means the payment has cleared. So as you see, when a purchase is made, it kind of goes 2 places, right? It goes onto the website where the purchase was made, and also there's a record of it in the payment processor. Now, online, it'll look like someone bought a $19 product if I just look at the website, whereas the payment processor takes its fee too. So what I have to do, or more accurately, what my bookkeeper has to do, is keep track of that discrepancy in our bookkeeping system. So what I don't understand with Brittany Dawn is that if she's had to pay taxes, which I'm sure she has, she would have had to have some kind of records of this, likely in some software like QuickBooks or similar, because there is an actual discrepancy between the amount that the website says came in and the amount that actually comes in the bank account. Got to make sure that that is accounted for on every transaction. So she likely has some kind of bookkeeping system where this information is, or she's been keeping really sloppy records and maybe there's a little bit of tax fraud happening. Anyway, so in short, the payment processor does hold some amount of information as well, but it basically underlines what has happened already on the website. Now, I want to talk a little bit about a third thing that is at play here, which is the tracking that is happening on the website. So you probably noticed even with websites you haven't bought anything for, you look at something and maybe later on as you're scrolling another website, an ad for the thing you were looking at appears. This is called remarketing. And there is a various amount of tracking that websites do when you visit them in terms of you visiting them and what your behavior is so that they can either take out an ad to you, entice you to come back and finish checking out or whatever. There are 2 laws so far that are sort of landmarked in this. The first one is GDPR, which is a European-based law that was, I guess, passed in 2016, but they had to actually implement it by May of 2018. And so what that means is if you sell in the EU, you had to basically give people rights to know what data was being collected and a way to opt out. So the way they would know if the data was being collected is there has to be a privacy policy linked on every page of the website. And in the privacy policy, it says what data is being collected, who it's being used by, and who they can contact to either opt out or get more information. So this law is so important that when you do a new install of WordPress now, and this has been the case for a while, one of the things that comes with your install is a privacy policy page built in. So here's the privacy policy on the e-commerce website I was showing you previously. And what most people do with this, because it has to be linked on every page, is they put the link in the footer, kind of like on the bottom where it says like careers and other stuff that is kind of de-emphasized from the main navigational menu, typically on the top or left side of the page. Now, I mentioned with GDPR, we had to let people know that their data was being collected, but the other thing we need to do is be able to let them opt out. So you have probably visited a website at this point where there's a cookies notice, a cookies banner, whatever you want to call it. On the bottom or on the top, it like pops up and it says, "Hey, this website collects data. Like, do you wanna are you okay with that?" And you have to click okay or no. Now, if you're in Europe, there is a no option. Sometimes in the US, you just have to click okay or yes, and that's the only thing you can do. So they're disclosing that they're collecting the data, but they don't have to actually let you opt out if you're here in the US. So, um, unless you're in California. So California passed a similar law to GDPR, and it went into effect in January of 2020. I think a lot of us were it probably had been in effect, but then, COVID happened and all that, so I think we all got a little distracted, but it's a very similar law to the GDPR law. It might be slightly less strict. I haven't looked at this one in detail. I just know that it's very similar to the GDPR one. So, point being is that, maybe individual states or as a country, we're eventually going to pass laws where we have to respect people's privacy. So, what data is Brittany Dawn collecting on her website? Well, let's go take a look. All right, so our first thing is we've got Pinterest tags. There doesn't seem to be any on this site. Second thing, Google Analytics. We see that it's collecting Google Analytics data, but I can't see what that data is because I'm not Brittany Dawn's webmaster. Problems I'm glad I don't have. Let's see here. And then we have the Facebook pixel. There does not appear to be a Facebook pixel on this website. And then finally, we have a Google tag, and we see that there's no Google tag here. It could be, again, that she turned it off. And this is the legacy Google Tag Assistant. So I'm guessing, though, that Brittany Dawn used Universal Analytics on her website and not Google Analytics 4, because that would have just come out kind of right before everything blew up. So I wasn't able to find a privacy policy on Brittany Dawn's current website, or obviously we didn't see the cookies banner pop up either. So I'm guessing that she wasn't trying to sell her products in Europe really. She was mostly selling here in the United States, and those regulations weren't in effect yet, even in California, at the time that her website was the most active. Now, the final part of today's video is basically this idea that the internet is forever, which is the fact that if something went online, not only can it be screenshotted, but there are tools that will index websites and save what that website looked like at different periods of time. And this beautiful thing is called the Wayback Machine. There's other ways, obviously, we can get historical data online, but this resource is particularly great. So let's take a look at the Wayback Machine and at the snapshots it's taken of Brittany Dawn's website. So, in case you've never been on the Wayback Machine, let me give you a brief tour. So, basically, web.archive.org, you go there, you type in any website address that has existed. Now, not every website has been indexed, right? If you have a little tiny website that was online for a couple of months 10 years ago and you got almost no traffic, the odds that it would have been automatically indexed are slim to none. But for, in particular, bigger websites, or I think you can even, like, if you're working on something and you want to kind of keep the version, you can have it crawl your own website. You can submit a URL, but what we see here is that Brittany Dawn's website was indexed 100 times between October 7, 2014 and September 18, 2022. So basically, if we look at the little circles on the dates, this is times where there was a snapshot taken. So like March 1st, for example, there was a snapshot taken at this time. So it's estimated that this site made between half a million and $2 million or something like that. It's a lot of money in a pretty broad range. So if I am wrong, I will put that number in the show notes and or on the screen. But there is an estimated amount of money this website made that is insane. So what we want to do is we want to go back in time and see if we can't get a picture and see if the website's a lot different than it is now. All right, I found one that works. So this is from March 16 of 2016, which you can see the date in the upper right corner. And as you see, it looks pretty similar. Now, sometimes alignment and stuff gets messed up with the capture. Like it's not a 100% capture with the formatting, but the content is still there. And what we could do if we were, I guess, investigating Brittany is we could, you know, we could read this what to expect from the crew and compare it to the what to expect from the crew that's on her current or live website and make sure that it matches up. So we could look at content line by line and see if the promises she's making in the old version of the website when people bought are the same as the promises that are on her current website. I want to talk about a final place where website records are stored, and that is with a web host. So when we were looking at my little e-commerce website with the reports, you saw that, I could add pages, I could add products, stuff like that. But if you want to do anything kind of deeper on your website, like you want to make, I don't know, a new email address, or you want to add a domain and have it redirect, that's all done at the hosting level. So, yeah, it's a pain if someone gets access to your WordPress install, but you're in real trouble if someone gets access to your hosting account, which is that higher level of access. So let's take a look at where Brittany Dawn's website is hosted. So there exists this website called whohoststhis.com, and it looks like Brittany Dawn is hosted on Cloudflare. So let's go take a look at that. So if we click through, this is the tech profile of the website. We see that it's running PHP, which is the code base for WordPress. It has a MySQL database, again, a WordPress thing, running a WordPress CMS with WooCommerce as the e-commerce portion. Elementor is the drag and drop editor that she's using. WP Bakery landing page builder, okay. And it looks like she's using Google as a content delivery network. Content delivery network is a way that you can host files somewhere else that's not your website. It allows them to load faster. So, for example, if I had customers who were in, I don't know, Australia or something, I could have a CDN in Australia, or I could use Google, which has servers everywhere. And what that will allow them to do is, rather than the content coming from my server, which I think is in Michigan, it would actually come from a place that was closer to them and load faster. Also, additionally, if you host your content somewhere else, like your images or video files, it helps your site load faster because they're not trying to be stored on your server. All right. Enjoy that. So let's look at Cloudflare's policies in regards to how they store backups and things like that. So looking around Cloudflare, I see that it's a pretty big company and offers a lot. So I'm assuming that Brittany Dawn has her email hosted at Cloudflare because that's where her website is. But if she's using something like Google, which she references a Gmail address on her website, clearly, if someone would place an order, it would also be emailed to her. That's one of the default things that happens so that the order came in. And if she's as sloppy at record keeping as it seems like she is, I could see her, instead of archiving those emails, outright deleting them. Because why would you keep your financial records for the 7 years that you could be audited or tend to be safe like I do? Anyway, so sometimes I worry about if I'm doing a good job running my business, and maybe I don't really know what I'm doing. But then I see someone like Brittany Dawn and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm doing okay. I mean, I'm not making millions of dollars, but I'm also not ripping people off and going to court about it either. So, and Brittany, if for some reason you're watching this video, I don't think you are, but in case you are, I'm not a demon. I'm not coming after you. I think what we all want in the snarking community and otherwise is that when someone does something wrong, when they rip someone off, that they're held accountable. We want that from individuals, we want that from corporations. We want to live in a society where those of us who are trying to do a right thing, you know, help each other out, And when one of us does something wrong, that we make amends. And you haven't made those amends yet, which is why you're in the court system. So, anyway, I hope that this was interesting to you if you're not in the web world like I am. I'm sure if you are, you probably have other things that I could have touched on or more nuance. And if so, please leave it in the comments. Um, I'm going to link to the original Reddit thread where I posted that I was looking for all the URLs because there was some really good conversation happening there. So you can check that out. So thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, there's a whole Nicole Reacts playlist on the YouTube channel, or if you go to my blog, you can hit the Nicole Reacts category and see all of the videos there as well. And if you have a guru or somebody you want me to react to, you can leave it as a comment on this video. Or if you're more shy, you can use the contact form of the website. That goes to me, and we can do a video on that topic. Always looking for feedback, so appreciate it. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time, because there will always be gurus, but the good news is at least you have a friend in the marketing business. Take care.